right, this is your friendly neighborhood Dustin Sherman, and I'm back on again tonight with Scott Seddon. And Casey's running a little bit behind, so we'll let her in whenever she comes on. But what's happening, man? How you doing?
What's going on, man? Doing all right.
Same old, man. I'm just enjoying nailing all the people on Twitter. It's been fun.
So you're on Twitter?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely on there, and I'm having a blast. Pretty much, you're not going to get kicked off there for saying what you feel. So Musk has brought back free speech, and it's one of the best things on the planet.
Yep, I agree. It's about time. He's saying a lot of things too that are starting to stir the pot, which makes me quite happy, to be honest with you. It's funny because a lot of people at the beginning they're like, "Oh, he's a leftist. He's a leftist." Hey, you know what? He may have some viewpoints that lean left. I don't care. He's given us our free speech, standing up for Constitution, which so far seems to be doing. He's my man.
Yep.
He can have. Listen, we all have some leftist ideologies. Some maybe not leftist, but I have some. A lot of people, gay marriage, for example, stuff like that. I'm a Christian, but I believe that a man and a woman can get married. That's their choice. Just like, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily the right thing to do, but something I'm not really going to say I'm against it either.
Right.
Whatever makes you happy in this life makes you happy. The way I feel.
Well, and a lot of times, a lot of times things happen in someone's life that, may turn them to a different.
And a lot of times.
Ooh,
Sorry, but
you good? Yeah,
good.
Okay.
Yep.
So a lot of times we have, certain things that happen in our lives that may change our perspective on things. And, I have a friend of mine that I grew up with in high school in my hometown. And we dated at one point and everything else. And she's actually she's married to a woman now. No, she's married to a woman now. Yeah.
Female.
Yeah. And, she's married to a woman now, and she's happier than she's ever been. They've been married for like 6, 8, 10 years. And, they're pretty successful. But the difference is, they're not out there advertising it and everything else.
Right.
People know their lives, and they're not out there throwing it in everyone's faces. And, they're not out there doing drag queen story hours and that kind of stuff. And, they're not being outlandish about it. They're being normal Americans who enjoy their lives, enjoy each other, and can go to work and come home and live the American dream. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
Nothing at all.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm all about it. As a matter of fact, I find them very entertaining. I find gay couples to be very entertaining because they're always so happy together.
Yeah, they are.
More than heterosexual couples. I've never seen and I've had in AP in New York. Well, two gentlemen were actually from Virginia, and they were patients of mine when I worked in an eye cancer clinic in New York. And it's funny because after a few times, and you could tell they were gay men. And dude, I loved guys. These guys were so cool. But it's funny. One day I have the, and it's a shame that I forget his name. It's been about probably 4 years. And but anyway, the big dude, he looks around the camera because I was a retinal photographer.
Mm-hmm.
He looks around the camera. He's like, "Scott, are you a Trump supporter?" And I'm like, here we go. And of course, I'm getting on the defensive. How I need to try to explain why I'm a Trump supporter. He's a little loud. He's abrasive, but you know what? I agree with a lot of the things that he says. This is what I'm telling him. He's like, listen, don't explain to me. Yeah. So are we. Yep. I was like, really? It's like, yeah, these guys invited me and my kid. If shit hit the fan, they lived on a farm out in the country. Scott, anything ever happens, you and your daughter are welcome to come. But I've met a lot of gay patriots that are just as protective about our freedoms in America. And damn good patriots,
Well, when I was in California, I got to meet a wonderful person named Nikki, and she was the creator of the Pink Pistols, and it's basically a gay gun rights group, and
right out of California.
Yeah, Super
Yeah.
cool people. Spoke
Right.
at several of our events that we had, and I'm still friends with them today. And we
Yeah.
chat, every so often, and still out in California fighting the battle out there. And great advocate for the Second Amendment. Great patriot. I would say that if anything, they're probably more in the middle than anything else. Casey just chimed in, so I'm going to get her on real quick. So bear with us for a second, folks. Casey finally made it, so we're going to get her on here real quick.
We're gonna have to fine her for being late.
Two lashes.
2 lashes. What noodle?
She goes by a different time out there in Wyoming. That's what it is. She's on Wyoming time.
She was putting on her makeup, and she probably got lost driving home. You know how women are.
It's easy to happen out in Wyoming. There ain't nothing out there.
I'm gonna get in trouble. I better shut my mouth.
Let's see here if I can get everything centered. Let's see. Make room for Casey on here. Get everything centered on the show here. That's what I like about OBS software is I can kind of format it to where everybody fits. So she's on, but her video's not on. So there she is. There she is.
Look at that video.
Well, she was on. She was on for a second. There she is. Okay. Yeah.
What kind of sheet you got going in the back?
Yeah, she's got a ghost hanging out in the back behind her there.
I do.
Yep, there we go. There we go.
Okay.
That looks much better.
Technical difficulties.
Over.
So.
This is what happens when we run late. That's what happens.
Yeah.
We said.
Well, my dog
two
gets super needy. She gets needy when I need to do something.
Of course, that's usually what happens. Luckily, I haven't had my cats roaming around this afternoon. I think my wife's upstairs keeping them busy. So, but so Casey, we were just talking about. I'm not sure if you had a chance to listen or not, but we were just talking about honestly, gay patriots, people that live a different lifestyle than we do, but still push the same American values that we do and everything else. And I've known several, and Scott's known several, and I don't know if you've met anybody or how you feel about that kind of stuff.
I just had a discussion this summer over a couple months. I met a middle-aged gay man, and he told me how there's a division in the LGBTQRS XYZ.
QXYZ.
Yes, in their community, because there's the older sector that is just like gay or lesbian, and this new generation, they're non-binary, they're cats,
making things up as they go.
Right.
Well, that whole thing is like, if you have an imagination, you can let it run wild. And what somebody does in their own home, I don't care.
Right.
Being out on the street and doing drag queen story hours and stuff like that for kids in libraries, that's where I draw the line. Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
Or like in San Francisco now, they have a $1,200 per month allowance.
Yeah.
If you were in the whatever the hell it is community, they are paying you $1,200 a month to live that lifestyle.
I think though that I was looking into that too. I think there is some qualifications that you have to meet. You have to be homeless. I think that there's some kind of, I was looking into it just for giggles and grins, but they're basically making them a higher class of citizen than anyone else.
Discriminatory, no matter how you look at it.
It is. We got homeless vets on the streets, and they're not getting anything. Yeah. So yeah, it's concerning to say the least. California's been working on something to where they get they're working on it to where it started off with criminals. They got X amount of dollars to not do bad things. So basically, in their own way, they're robbing the system for not doing anything stupid. And then they're also now paying the gay community the same thing. And they've been trying to get a generalized amount for people who live in California. but you're going to have to fit certain qualifications for it.
A living wage.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it used to be you had to work for your money. Now you can just be lazy and sit on the couch and, couch surf and whatever.
So, my concern is this metaverse of virtual reality, and what's going to happen. We already have some problems with society, and since social media came along and breaking down of society and some of the core principles of communication, what's going to happen when we have this alternative reality? And on our national PR radio, they do Science Fridays, and they were talking about the metaverse and what does that mean exactly. And it goes, there's so many meanings.
What is the metaverse?
It's a virtual reality technology. I can see it being implemented for good, like doing.
What does it do though?
It's like the glasses.
Have you ever seen the VR headsets?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. So people that don't know, it's those headsets you put on, and you act like you're fighting somebody with a sword, or going to work, or you're making out with your new girlfriend with big boobs, red hair, a nice peach of an ass, for the guys and the girls. You have that, 6 foot stud and dark hair and a beard.
Well,
yeah, that's cool.
If you look at past movies and things like that, they've kind of Hollywood always kind of preempts the things that we see in normal day culture. If you look at things like it was a movie with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. It was a futuristic movie, and they weren't allowed to kiss, they weren't allowed to have sex, and Taco Bell was like the main restaurant. What the hell's the name of that movie? Can't remember.
I'm Googling it right now.
I can't remember the damn name of it, but basically, a lot of the stuff that was in there, it's like a virtual reality.
Judge Dredd?
No, close, but is not Judge Dredd. Wesley Snipes was a criminal in it, and they basically got frozen and brought back to life like 100 years in the future or some crap.
Blade?
I can't think of the name of it. Anyway,
kill my dog, you guys. I know my dog is begging to go out. Would it be unprofessional if I let her out quick?
Go ahead.
I did.
Animals have to pee like we do, so go ahead.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
So, one of the things that they had mentioned was in some of the mock trials of that, the ladies being groped and stuff, and they had to add a feature to not permit other virtual players within 6 feet.
Yeah, I've seen something like that. Yeah, I heard about that. It's pretty. Virtual reality started off as a game, right? It started off as like a shoot 'em up game, or there's one you can get on a roller coaster and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. I think it's great for stuff like that. But when it comes to invading our real lives, the thing that I see is going to be a problem is that's social engineering. It's social programming, and what's going to happen is people are not going to be able to live real lives in reality and not know the difference. And to be honest with you, we had a shooting today or last night or something in Colorado Springs, right?
Right.
And the virtual reality that I know I've played a couple times and I've seen different things, and what it does is it gives somebody a false perception of reality. That's what the whole point of virtual reality is, right? And you start. I think it's going to end up coming down to who's doing the programming for it, who's
controlling it.
Yeah, who's controlling it. The thing is with technology that we have out there now, with like social media and Twitter and Facebook and all these other things, our minds were not meant to know the things that we know.
Right.
We've accelerated learning. We've accelerated so many different things, and the human mind can only keep up with so much. We have evolution, but we can only evolve so fast.
Right.
So I just saw Casey, I'm sorry I cut you off before you were trying to finish. Do you know what you're trying to finish?
It's okay. You
Metaverse.
missed it. I already finished it, but the name
was
of the
alright.
movie is Demolition Man.
That's it.
Demolition Man. So I was just watching something about TikTok and how in TikTok in China is nothing like TikTok here.
Mm-mm.
TikTok in China for children under 13 years old is all about education. It's all about how great China is. It's all positive thoughts, education, math, science, stuff like that. And if you're under 18, you can only view certain things. You can't watch anything that may be considered to be uh, racy or whatever.
Right.
Western type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But China, just like the Germans did in World War II, they had Goebbels to use the media to poison the mind of the people against the Jews. The Chinese are doing that to the rest of the world. They're poisoning our kids, so our kids are completely dumbed down. And our
Right.
kids are completely anti-government, anti-mom, anti-dad. They want to get out. They want to get a nice big booty. They want to get their lips fucking filled with collagen. They want to do all this shit. They're only focusing on trying to be the best looking, or to get there, become media whores. That's
Right.
what China's doing to us. It's
Right.
a form of warfare.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is. Have you
I
seen?
agree.
Have you seen the girl who did that? She was on Dr. Phil, like, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever, and is the Catch Me Outside girl. Catch Me Outside. How about that?
Right.
Have you seen what she looks like now?
What's her name? Baby,
I can't remember. but
Rat
dude,
Baby or something.
Dude, you will not recognize the same chick. She's like, I don't know, man. She's completely like,
700 pounds.
No, she's a rapper.
She's completely done a whole face makeover. You cannot tell it's the same person. It's insane.
She dropped the hood out of Hood Rat.
Yeah. Well, she
Yeah.
lost the trailer park. I'll tell you that.
She lost the trailer park.
she is
Well,
definitely not the
She's
same
straight up-
person.
She's a straight up G now.
Apparently, she looks like I'm trying to think of some of the I can't
Like
even-
oh,
she's very
Ariana Grande.
yeah, exactly.
Like Latin looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long
Um,
hair.
yeah, she definitely has
Nice
the
skin.
look now. That's for sure. She got the look down, but I'm sure the mentality's still wrong. But no, I mean that's the thing
So-
is we've become, the United States in general has become so fake. We got
Yeah.
fake food, we got fake celebrities, we've got fake everything. We got it to the point now where have you ever seen the deep fakes videos where they've got like a guy that looks like Tom Cruise and he's deep faked himself and he looks just like Tom Cruise on TikTok? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
identical. And it's the technology that we have. Everything's so fake. It's like, how the hell are you supposed to
Right.
believe the shit that you're being told?
Right. Well, part of that with the social media and other applications is the FCC has like changed some of. I remember, and we've discussed this before. I remember when I was young, they had like PG-13, and there might be some kissing, maybe some heavy groping, but that was it. And then there was R-rated, like
Topless. Yeah.
4th of July, and
As
those
I,
type
as, I,
movies.
as I smile thinking about the olden days of
Porkies.
cable when they had everything all like fucking mishmashed, and I'd be trying to see through the mishmash if I could get one nipple.
The snow.
That made my night.
Well, and now, I was looking at some things, and we all come across these fake profiles, and they're like, "Oh, catch me on Instagram, catch me on Snapchat." This is available to our children, and
Yeah.
parents have put a phone in their children's hands, not really,
It's become
mediating or
Yeah.
Well, the phone has
Yeah.
become the new babysitter. I mean, I don't know how many parents I see that come into my business and they've got like a 2-3-year-old and the kid's holding a phone and the kid's being quiet. They're doing their things on the phone. And the parents are just completely oblivious to what, if the kid put the phone down and walked away, they wouldn't know.
right.
It's become the new babysitter.
Or tablet,
Yep.
I know that's handy for long car rides, or you have a fussy baby or something. put something kind of, upbeat on. But what it's replacing the conversation around the dinner table, and
Right.
critical thinking skills, you know?
Well, I'm sure you all have experienced this one time or another. When was the first curse word you ever used? Do you remember?
Shit.
I remember the
No,
first curse
ass.
word. I remember
called
the
my
first
mom a
curse word I
stupid
ever
ass,
used,
and
and
I
I got the
Did
shit
she
knocked out
slap
of me.
you?
Yep.
I got my ass kicked.
You
I was
deserved
chased throughout my whole entire backyard, and all I remember is my giant mother. And I looked behind my shoulder. My mother was a giant. Her head was all the way up here, and I'm like, "Rah!"
See, I
She had the go-go gadget arms. Woo!
I had a different experience.
Whoop my ass.
So I could cuss in front of my grandmother, but I couldn't cuss in front of my grandfather. My grandfather was a real strict military type, that was his mentality. And you didn't curse, you didn't, no nudity, no R-rated movies or something like that. And my mom was just like, or my grandmother was like, as long as he doesn't know it, it ain't gonna hurt you. And so we'd cuss, and she actually taught me the context of what each thing meant, right? Your ass is your butt. The F bomb was, what the F bomb was,
Versatile.
and how to use it and stuff like that. But I think I might have been like 6 years old, maybe kindergarten or something, and I heard it at school, and that's when that conversation started. Was I heard some kid at school saying it, so then I started saying it until I got my butt kicked, and
Oh,
I knew what was right or wrong, but most of those words we use in frustration, and
Yeah.
right. My first cuss word was a foreign language, and I come from a mixed culture family, mixed with Hispanic, and I told my brother-in-law, I said, "Oh, I learned a word in Spanish." He said, "What is it?" And I said, "Pichivaboso," and he got so mad at me. He said, "Don't say that. Don't you know what that means?" I was like, "No."
my
So
grandmother
what do you-
taught me one in Spanish too.
So what do you claim, like when you're filling out any type of documentation? Other, white, Spanish.
It's gotten to the point where
I
I
do
don't
other.
want to. I don't
do
want.
other
It's
now,
none.
believe it or not.
It doesn't matter. Why?
Yeah, right.
Why? Or your sexuality.
How
that.
about how about American?
How bad?
Where's the
What
American at?
happened to the Americans?
Yep.
Yeah.
If I were to fill out something like that and it had, every box out there you could think of, mine would be Indian, because I'm Northern Cherokee.
I'm
German.
Cherokee too.
It should be Indian, German, Scottish, and Irish. So my family's not from here.
There's not a Heinz 57
No,
choice.
and there should be, unfortunately.
Right.
Most of us are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week I went to a Buffalo Feast at the college, and we had a Native American performer, and I was just kind of looking around the room, and there was scholars and artsy people, and I felt a connection to the songwriter, the entertainer. However, my great grandfather was on a Indian reservation in Oklahoma, and that's something he never really talked with us about. But I don't know any part of that culture. And then I got to thinking about how many generations does it take to erase history and rewrite it. And then I got to think, I all in my mind and stuff, looking around the room, trying to eat some buffalo, about what's going on in society today. I was doing some research online, and everything came up Wikipedia. Like, that's not even a valid.
It's
You know.
not.
No, it's
Anybody
opinion.
can go in there and fucking edit whatever they want.
Yeah.
And all three of us can have our own Wikipedia page, right? You could go in there and create your own. In fact, there's some of those have been hacked
No.
before, like actors.
I'm too busy.
Well, some of them have been hacked before, where actors have had crap put on their profiles that was either false or derogatory, or whatever. But here's the thing, right? We have these computers in our pockets every day, and you would think that we would be smarter for having those. And the fact of the matter is the country has gotten dumber. We're going
Right.
backwards. We're not gaining
All part of the
intelligence.
plan.
We're losing it, and a lot of it is the social media aspect of it, right? Everyone wants to be famous, and they want to be able to do something and make millions of dollars for doing nothing. And we've lost the work ethic in the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Scott.
go ahead,
So
Scott.
I was just gonna say, I'll throw kudos out to my kids. First time she's ever made honor roll. She just made this year, and after COVID, she was locked down in New York City. That's why I left. I was hoping once I was in a safe state, my ex, not because I want to be back together with the psychopath, because
Hey,
well,
it's
you
mom.
know, it is, and I never talk this way in front of my kids, in front of my kid about her mother. I never demean her. I won't ever do that, but I'll say it here amongst friends. I'm safe, my safe space. I'm in my bubble. I'm in my bubble. I can say this, but no, she's a little crazy. But the thing is, so after being locked down for 2 years, my daughter was really struggling,
Mm-hmm.
struggling socially. Um, she wasn't learning. She wasn't grasping things. Now she made honor rolls.
That's
So-
awesome.
Awesome.
It's a good
Awesome.
recovery right there. You know, I have a friend of mine that had a
Yay,
young kid.
Shannon.
He had a young son. He got 3 kids, all of them boys, and their middle son struggled real bad through COVID. And whenever the schools and everything were let out, you know, they were locking the kids down. They couldn't hang out with their friends and everything else, and they lost that social interaction. And one night, late at night, and I'll never say who this is, but if they're out there watching, they'll know who I'm talking about. But one night in the middle of the night, cops show up at their house, and they're like, hey, you know, is so and so here? And they're like, well, yeah, he's upstairs in his bedroom. What's going on? Well, he had been chatting with some guy in Canada, just, you know, friends or whatever, and he started talking about suicide. And I'm just like, whoa, you know, I know the kid, a good kid, and he was just struggling with, you know, he didn't have no one to talk to, and so he got online and started talking to someone. And to me, it sounds like what ended up happening was the guy in Canada got worried about, which I'll give
Right.
him props. He got to worried
Good
about
kid.
what the kid was saying, and ended up calling Anchorage PD. They went over and checked him out, and you know, the parents he wasn't even aware of what was going on. And I can't blame them because the kid had shut himself down, kind of locked himself in his room, and was just feeling bad. So I'm glad that the guy in Canada, you know, reached out and did that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's someone that's kind of personal in my life, and I kind of watch after the kid a little bit. And you know, he comes into my work all the time, and I help him out. And you know, he's a good kid, and I'm really glad that someone recognized he was having trouble. So he's doing better now. He's you know, now school's going again and stuff, and he's doing better. And yeah, it's just man, COVID really screwed up so much stuff, and
Right.
we're still recovering from it. You know,
Still recovering. You know, my grandmother died during COVID, and nobody could go and visit her
that's so
because
sad.
it was in the middle of COVID. She was by herself. I flew to New York from Florida, and I had to talk to my grandmother like this. This is how I said my goodbyes to my grandmother, and my grandmother was saying that she's so scared. She was a very religious, Catholic, Italian, old school Italian woman. She was the center of attention. She spoke, everybody shut the fuck up. And that's
Yeah.
just the way it was. Grandma Fidi spoke, everybody shut up. But when she was dying and she was, you know, um, you know, she was unable to have any social interaction in her last days. That is no way to go. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know.
Should be it should be criminal. I mean,
Yeah.
your last days, you know, you need to have someone there because that's. And we had that happen here. We had people that were in the hospital and they weren't allowed to see people, and it was Patriots we lost. And you know, when you have family members that can be by your side, that's a healing thing.
So,
you know?
yeah, during COVID, my stepdad was institutionalized, and I actually went to the facility and got a job because that separation from your family, you know, they were watching TV, the news. How many times were they saying COVID that in the day? Like
Oh, my
9,000
God.
times, you know? And then us taking our precautions, being dressed in trash bag suits, and you know, it was a scary time. And then they were separated from their family. I'm so sorry, Scott, that you weren't there But you know you got an angel watching over you.
I do.
Well, the thing that happens up here is we had a couple people that ended up in the hospital. Two of them, two separate hospitals, and these are people that went to our assembly. It was there all the time. We knew them, did all kinds of events together, and they were both older, and they both come down with COVID, and both of them wanted to be treated with like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and all the kind of stuff that our side of the aisle knew was helping us. And the doctors in both the hospitals wouldn't give it to them. And they even had their own doctors show up at the hospital to try and advocate for them. Yes, give them this, give them this, give them this. Wouldn't do it. And ultimately, they both ended up dying. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's criminal. I mean, if the stuff that you're getting given isn't working, give them something else that might have a chance. And that didn't happen.
There's a freedom to choose how of healthcare. I know in our state, you're a sovereign person, and there's different ways to be treated. But during COVID, that was one thing they really shut down, the ivermectin, and that's used in veterinarian services and the hydrochloroquine. And it was getting tough for the vets to get.
Well, ivermectin has been used on humans for years for parasites. Like it was used over in Africa for parasites. I mean, I've got tablets that are for humans that I was prescribed by my local doctor. I had a hell of a time getting it filled, but I got hydroxychloroquine, I got ivermectin, I got all that stuff. And the one time that I've had COVID, I think twice. First time was bad. Second time, not near as bad, but I was taking ivermectin for the second one, and I came out of it no problem. And the media wants to portray that it was all horse paste and all this other shit, but it's been used on humans since the 60s, and it's what it's for was a parasite. And
yeah, well, go ahead, bro.
Well, I was just going to say, the thing is that freedom to try thing, that's for the doctors. That's not for us. If we tell the doctor we want this medicine, the doctor ultimately has to make the decision whether or not to give it to us or not. They don't all the time do that. And that's what, the guy, I went to his funeral. His name was Bill, what was his last name? William Topol. And, they would not give it to him at all. And they just sit there and let him suffocate. I'm so pissed.
It's funny because back in the old days, doctors used to actually sit down, and today it's become so corporate. It's what the guy who's never worked one day in the medical industry at the top, who's a pen pusher, who's telling everybody, well, this is where our money, our funding is coming from here, so you must push this.
Yep.
That's how it is today. Where back in the day, doctors used to sit down with the patients, and I'm old school, and that's what I used to love about the medical industry when I was in it. I worked for old school doctors, top-notch guys. They would talk to the patients, and they would agree on, well, maybe we could try this. And if the patient was adamant because they couldn't take it, maybe because whatever the case may be, they were diabetic or hypertensive, religious, whatever, the doctor would find an alternative to make sure this patient got treated instead of dying. Now it's just like,
Well, and the pharmacists have gotten involved now too.
They have.
And that's a bad thing. So whenever I got the hydroxychloroquine given to me, my doctor prescribed it. I went down to Costco, which is where I usually fill my prescriptions. Go down there, hand him the prescription, and I go sit down and wait for my prescription to be filled. A Middle Eastern guy comes out, and he's one of the pharmacists. He comes out and he goes, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure, what's up?" He goes, "What are you getting this for?" I said, "I'm getting it because my doctor prescribed it to me." And he goes, "Well, why are you getting it? Why did he prescribe this to you?" I said, "Honestly, it's none of your business, and you don't know what my medical records look like, but my doctor prescribed this." I'm serious.
Have you read the paperwork? You're going to be eating hay tomorrow morning, sir.
So he was asking me, and finally I had to, instead of arguing with him in front of a bunch of people, I took him over to the corner of where the pharmacy was, and I said, "Listen, dude, I've got a mild form of lupus, and this was prescribed to me to do that." And he goes, "Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't for COVID." And I said, well, why does it even matter what it's for? My doctor prescribed it to me. I trust my doctor more than I trust you. So
Right.
you fill it and I'll walk out of here and that's it. Your job is to fill a prescription that my doctor wrote and signed. That's all your job is supposed to be for.
Right.
Well, I don't want to get sued in case you overdose. Well,
Well, the violation of HIPAA.
that's just it. Is that he's not supposed to know, now if it's a drug interaction where I'm taking two different drugs or something, that's one thing. But he's not supposed to know what my disease or what my sickness is.
Right. 100%.
So, they're supposed to inform me that this can cause a side effect or whatever. Yeah, I get that. But it's none of his damn business that I have lupus. It's just not. So
It was partially a supply chain issue with the pharmacy carrying these items and the pharmacists acting as a barrier.
yeah, and it's so wrong. I mean, everything now is so upside down and backwards that
Yeah. So I'm in the job market and looking at some medical jobs, and one of the clinics said must have a COVID vaccination and we wear masks. I was like,
That's why I'm not going back into the medical industry. They could lick my balls.
Thanks for painting that beautiful picture.
Sorry, everyone. They're shaved. Trust me. No, I'm kidding. All right, that's going a little too far. No kids. There's no kids allowed on this show.
Right. No, this is for adults. No. Well, let's reel it in a little bit. So there was something that came to my attention on Thursday. A national public radio in Michigan, I believe, had broadcasted a abortion on air.
Oh yeah, the NPR did.
That's disgusting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's more wrong than you can even discuss. I mean, I know it was shared with me, and I shared it out to a few people, and it hit Twitter, and there's a big outrage and everything on it. What a woman decides to do with her own body and child, unfortunately, should not be, should not be put out there publicly like that. That is, to be honest with you, any young girl that had to listen to that or experience that, that's traumatizing. I don't care who you are, how old the kid is, or it's disgusting. And I think NPR needs to be sued over that. I mean, that's borderline, I hate to say it, but pornography. I mean, it's not visual, but it's just as bad. There's horror movies out there that don't go that far.
Yeah, the lady was, it was Michigan. The lady was 11 weeks pregnant. And the audio was like suctioning sounds and sobbing and, moaning in pain. So, yes, anyone who has gone through that could be traumatic. So,
yeah, that was pretty disgusting when I heard about that. It just shows.
I was just at awe. Yeah, a few days prior, I just heard about the what is that? The calf, the Birmingham calf. It's a ball. For the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games. They created it actually parallels Revelations chapter 17, I believe, very well, with the bull, the woman coming riding on the bull, the slaves. It had all these symbolisms. It's crazy. That happened in August.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that one.
I'll share it.
Okay. The thing is we've devolved so bad and so far. I don't know that there could even be an event that even gets us back to where we're back in some form of, continuity or where we're bringing the country together. I don't think that there's an event that can happen that can make that happen anymore.
Beyond, we're beyond that point, unfortunately. And I thought about this. Imagine we got a DeSantis Trump ticket. Imagine that. That would be our dream ticket, right? in there, and those two guys, powerhouses, guys that would go in there and clean house. Think about the reaction because of all the fuel that the left has put underneath Black Lives Matter, Antifa, LGBTQ, pro-abortion rights, anti-gunners, pro-climate change or climate change activists. Think about all these communist sects that John Brown Gun Club, all of these leftist organizations. If we had a strong showing of conservatism again in this country.
Say that again.
Conservatism.
I got it. In this country, they would explode.
Well, I'm gonna give you my 5 things that if Trump was whoever is the president, whether it's Trump or DeSantis, but I'll give you my 5 things. I made this list on Twitter and made a lot of people's heads explode. But here's the 5 things that would, if the Republicans or the red side got in to the White House, if they were to make this stuff happen, they would never leave the White House again, or never lose the White House again. 1, eliminate the IRS. 2, eliminate all alphabet agencies, the feds, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, ATF, all them people. Solidify the Second Amendment, basically make it to where it cannot be touched at all anymore. Ban propaganda in the news and social media, and take the Fed out of the schools. You do those 5 things, you'll never lose the White House again.
Right.
And unfortunately, basically what I think the left does is they use the federal agencies on their they use it to their advantage.
They do. They're businessmen. That's
just it. It's like when Trump was in there and they were bitching about his taxes and everything else, and he mentioned, listen, I'm smart. I use the stuff that you guys pass. And here's the thing, you'll never take it away from me because your friends are using the same things that I'm using. So he's not stupid. He's smart, and he brought that out to the public eye. So all these people bitching about the 1%ers and all the money that they have and not paying taxes. Well, if they started paying taxes on those people, those same people that have all that money would stop putting money into the Democratic Party. So
you mean the elite, right?
Yeah, yeah, the 1%ers, the elite, whatever. Most 1%ers donate to one party or another because it's a tax write-off. They've made it to where the tax code is so tough to deal with and so tough to read that all these rich people have lawyers that can decipher it all, and so they put out money here or there. Look at this FTX scandal. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Democratic Party sent all that money over to Ukraine. Then that money was put back into FTX and then sent back to the Democratic candidates. That's money laundering. I don't care who you are. That's money laundering. And
the mafia.
And the thing is not only did Democrats take that money, so did Republicans. Kevin McCarthy took it. There's receipts on it. All the Democratic candidates got money donated to their campaigns. Mitch McConnell was involved in that. So it's not just the Democratic Party; it's the whole Washington cabal, if you want to use that term. But
go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is with all that stuff going on, who's to say Ron DeSantis didn't end up with some of that money, with the money that Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy got back? Did they put that into Ron DeSantis' campaign? Not saying Ron's a bad guy, but he can't control who donates money to him.
No, he can't, unfortunately.
Right. Well, I've seen a trend in the past with some of those agencies or companies or people or, as you say, the 1%ers donating to campaigns. They'll test. And it's very obvious looking at campaign history. If they continue a trend and it goes from 500 to 1,500 to 5,000 year after year or season after season, it becomes obvious there's some trends there. But speaking about whistleblowing, do y'all listen to Glenn Beck?
Once in a while.
Sometimes I do once in a while.
Okay, so he had a young lady on a couple weeks ago, episode 162. And Whitney Webb is her name. She's the author of a couple books. Sorry. Couple books on like Jeffrey Epstein, and she really goes into the bones of it. And saying things that people are scared to, or there's not enough people standing up, speaking the truth. You know, pretty soon there's going to be some changes with Homeland, and where if you speak out against the state, it's inciting violence, and they'll come and get you.
Good luck with that.
Second Amendment,
So-
bastard.
Me and Scott are in agreement on that
The
one.
first.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because it all boils down to one thing: the root of all evil. And I'm not against capitalism. I'm against crony capitalism. Exactly, Dustin. Boils down to money. Why is, you know, Homeland Security getting so big and being broadened, and IRS has 86,000 new IRS agents, and money.
So here's my thought on this. So we got the red and the blue side, right? And we've all kind of understood that it's the same bird, just different wings of that same bird. And so they're supposedly, since Republicans won the House, they're going to eliminate the whole 87,000 IRS agents, which from the video that I've seen, half of them are incapable of walking, much less shooting somebody.
Right? Did you see that?
The wheelchair guy killed me.
Oh my god!
But
you
anyway,
almost have to wonder. I mean, were there those actors or what? I mean, really,
they were bad. That was terrible. You know, every law enforcement agent that's out there, regardless of who they were just shaking their head, going, "Are you fucking serious?" But you know, I don't know. It's weird. I think what you got is you got the Republicans that want to be the saviors. You got the Democrats that just want to control. And they're working hand in hand. Look, you guys pass this and we'll take it back away. And, you know, it ends up being this whole system of corruption. You know, if you notice, there's never been anybody that's been in Congress that have really been thrown in jail. There's never been a president convicted and thrown in jail. There's never been a first lady convicted and thrown in jail, which we know who really should be. The thing is we don't go after, except for Trump, of course, we don't go after our public officials whenever they're in DC. None of those people are in jail. Pelosi should be in jail. Schumer should be in jail. Maxine Waters should be in jail. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're complaining that Trump, you know, pushed the riot and everything on January the 6th. Well, Maxine Waters, there's more damn videos out there on her pushing her people to go out and knock on people's doors and hit people at home and everything else than anyone
Inciting
else.
violence.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Right.
you know, that's what I think. I think that both sides have a hand in this. And I think a lot of it has to be, Scott, it kind of goes back to what you said. It's about the money. The thing is if you have, it's, you know, don't look a gift horse in the mouth kind of thing. Right. And there's a term out there called political capital. And political capital means you rub my back, I'll rub yours, is essentially what it means. And, you know, you let me pass this, and then when you write something up a year down the road, we'll pass yours. And that ends up happening. It's like a handoff all the damn time. So we never get ahead. It keeps the people down, but, you know, the politicians keep getting a step up. And until that system is broken, until we can break it down, and either there's term limits or there's investigations that can prove that, which unfortunately the FBI doesn't investigate very well. We know that. They only investigate the things that can keep people in power, it sounds like. You know, all the shootings that we've had in the world or in the United States in the last 10 years, all of them could have been prevented, and not by taking away the guns, just by watching the crap that we already know that all the alphabet agencies watch.
Right.
Exactly, man. Like,
Right.
you know, listening to the people. You know, like what happened
Like
with
right now.
your friends, like you know what happened with your friend's kid who was on social media talking about wanting to kill themselves, and the cops showed up.
Hmm.
You know, and there's a lot of instances when the cops are told that there's this crazy kid making threats, and you know what they do? They give him a warning. They give him a warning. They give him a warning, and he goes back to school and he shoots people up.
Yeah.
Like they knew about this kid and never did anything about it.
That kid
You
in
know?
Uvalde.
Uvalde, you
Right.
mean?
Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you know, there's numerous. A lot of the school shootings could have been prevented because there
Yeah.
was red flags and things were escalating.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's the Boston bombing kids. I don't remember that or not. They were on the radar. The guy that shot up the Orlando nightclub, he was on the radar. That guy was from like Afghanistan or something. He was Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
He was on their radar. Nothing
was.
happened. I think that this, even going back as far as the Columbine shooting, those two kids were on the radar. There was journals where they were talking about doing what they just did. So,
Well, and look at the video games. I mean, we were just talking about alternate reality. These video games, I mean, I'm used to like Mario Brothers or, you know, Zelda or whatever, you know, but these games are like you go in there and you're shooting and blood, you know, so violent.
Yeah.
And I think the FCC has changed some of their regulations.
and so, well, they've actually just, this is no joke, and this is a true thing. You can look it up, Google it, whatever. They now have a new VR headset that if you die in the game, it fucking kills you.
What?
Yep. Look it up.
Dude.
Google it.
Christmas list. All liberals. Fucking A. There we go.
We should
Let's
just
start
mail it
collecting
out.
the list.
Did y'all hear about Canada and they're passing legislation that if you are poor or, you know, sick or you want to die,
Yep.
that it's going to be legal
All
in the
right.
gas chamber.
Even better. In Canada, they're passing legislation that if you don't get vaxxed, you're able to have you are forced to have a mental health evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be put on meds.
Yep.
You're going to be put on psych meds. This is what's going on.
And what'll end up happening is the meds that they're going to give you is probably going to have the vaccine in it.
Yep. Exactly.
So they'll force it in you. So,
Yep. Which I think they're doing now here, to be honest with you.
yeah, it's, you know, it's getting to the point. I actually watched a TikTok video last night. It was, her last name was Hardesty. That's all I can remember. But it was basically a chick that was in Allison Air Force Base up here. And she was a mechanic. And she had to go to the doctor like 7 or 8 times and they almost killed her. And they kept misdiagnosing her and kept misdiagnosing her and kept misdiagnosing her. And basically what it sounds like in the videos was the vaccine that they gave her, because, you know, they forced all the vaccines on people. Well, she ended up going into liver failure. They were trying to treat her for cancer, which she didn't have. There was a whole, and the only way she found out was she had to go to a private practitioner. All the military doctors misdiagnosed her. She went to 7 different doctors. She named a few of them. And I mean, this is over a course of 3 videos that she had all this documented. It was ridiculous. And I mean, it's bad whenever your military personnel, the people that we trust the most for protection of this country, can't get good health care or runs a risk of dying because their doctors suck.
Yeah, you know, it goes back like what I was just real quick. I'll throw this in there. I'll let you go, Case. So I was talking to a doctor, and she was a doctor down in Fort Jackson, not Fort Jackson. I'm sorry, that's where I went to basic. And when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida, there's a base right there. She was a doctor at the VA, and her and all the doctors and the nurses were privy. They were getting all this intel and information. And this is like within the first 8 months of COVID that they knew it was no good. And she was telling me, she's like, Scott, I don't know what to do. I'm being told by my higher ups, this is what I have to do, you know? So sorry, Case, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that it's like, do you want to keep your job? Then shut up and do what we say.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
what it was.
Well, and
Um,
I've had friends that have left their duty stations and been transferred somewhere else because they were less likely to have to get the shot. And ultimately, it comes down, from what it sounds like, it ultimately comes down to the commander that's on the base. I had a friend of mine that was up here 2 years ago, and whenever they started the COVID shots and all that good stuff, and he was he trained people how to jump out of planes. What the hell is it called? He was paratrooper, but he was I can't remember what. It's off the top of my head. Airborne
Ranger?
He was airborne, yeah.
Airborne.
And he was in charge of training these guys how to jump out of planes and with their parachutes and everything else. And he was like, I ain't getting that damn shot. I don't care what they do. So he put in for a transfer, and he got transferred down to North Carolina, and he still hasn't taken it. And they're actually starting to take the he put in a religious exemption, and they accepted it. So it really depends on the commander that's in charge of the base. Here in Anchorage, we got one of the most liberal commanders on the planet. And it kind of makes me wonder, if we were to get attacked, what are we going to do? And we're the closest state to Russia of anywhere else in the United States. We're like the entry point. So yeah, I'm just like, I might see battle before anyone else does. At the rate things are going.
Maybe, but hopefully not. The one good thing about nukes is it kind of keeps everybody on a little bit honest.
Yeah.
Because if we invade them, they're going to nuke us and vice versa. So hopefully they do their jobs, unless Biden is dismantling our nuclear arsenal. Right now, we just don't know about it. And telling Russia and telling China and telling North Korea, telling every other enemy that we have across the country, hey, guys, guess what I'm doing?
I'm surprised he hasn't given it all to Ukraine yet.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Okay, so when Wyoming's rich in minerals, and there was the deal with our uranium going over to China and being sold, mining our uranium and selling it to our enemy,
That was under Clinton, right? That was Hillary.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was Clinton. Clinton at least started it anyway.
Yeah. It's just crazy how things are unraveling. Here's some good news, though. I heard yes, MGT, Marjorie Taylor Greene, might be Speaker of the House. She's on the Freedom Caucus and a real trooper.
Hell yeah, man. I'd love to hear her.
I thought Kevin McCarthy already got that. They already solidified that from what I heard.
I thought so, too.
I thought they did, too, but I'm just seeing this morning. MGT. So I thought so, too, because our new congresswoman that took Cheney's spot, Harriet Hageman, she had made an endorsement for McCarthy.
Wasn't she a charge of either FBI or CIA at one point? Hageman. There was a woman that was in charge of either the CIA or FBI, and I thought her last name was Hageman.
Oh, I don't know. She's a lawyer.
Okay. Well, there was a woman that was in charge of one of those two entities at one point.
Let's see who it was.
I think it was CIA.
Oh, okay. That Whitney Webb, her 2 books are called One Nation Under Blackmail. She really goes into, I was just impressed with their interview. They went to A through Z, and she laid it out there, spoke the truth, and, in layman's terms, nothing too difficult to understand. So, I had to throw that in.
I'm going to look real quick and see if we got any, hold on. See if we got any comments real quick before we get out of here. See.
Geez, an hour, man. That flew by.
Yep. Well, it's a lot easier to talk with 3 people than it is, 1 or 2.
It's a funny thing. Like, I remember back in the day, my mom, grandparents, especially like in the medical industry, I dealt with a lot of older patients, they'd be like, you know what? The older you get, the quicker the time goes. And I'm like, yeah,
that's a fact.
Just shut up. Let me fucking inject you so I can take my pictures and get you out of here. It's a fact. Shit, man, days go by like that.
My weekends they're so fast, it's ridiculous. And here right now it gets dark at like 3:30. So
That's
Right.
I
nuts,
mean,
dude. I don't know how you do that.
yeah, it's dark right now.
Yeah,
So
same here.
real quick, Jennifer McCray says social media is also an addiction to some, and it's the truth. It is.
Yeah, it is.
They get pleasure from people seeing, people liking things, stuff like that. Scott Stansberry, a good buddy of mine, helped me out with the podcast quite a bit. He said the sad part is that I can contest that masks do not work, but yet government officials say that I'm wrong. And he actually did a presentation in front of our assembly. And essentially, when you put a mask on your face, it's like a chain link fence, right? And you have like pellets going through the chain link fence. It's that big a difference in the webbing of a mask. So, but he said masks do not work yet. Government officials say I'm wrong. I guess being an OSHA expert for 35 plus years and over 30 years of research doesn't matter anymore.
No,
You know,
no such thing as science. Old school science, anyway.
Steven
New school.
These books, let's burn them. That's
Right.
how I'm staying warm.
Steven
Right.
Server says they're all on the take, and that's a fact. We think that they are. And his opinion, and I respect Steven. He's a Patriot
Yeah.
leader and stuff out in the. He's in Idaho now. It was in California. I met him. Did some things with him. He goes, we need to change our messaging. I believe our message needs to be representation or lack of it in our country. And that's the truth. We don't have any representation because
No.
the people that we put in there,
Taxation without representation.
well, taxation period is, we
Theft.
we went to war. The Revolutionary War was started over a 1% tax. I mean, seriously. And what are we at right now? It's ridiculous how bad our
30,
taxes are.
25.
So, well, folks, I think we've covered about as much as we can. So I'm going to give everybody a last closing thought, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. Scott, you go ahead and go first.
So
Yeah, ladies first.
my
Not this time. Equal opportunity.
My thought of the night is keep liberals in mind for the Christmas holidays. If you're gonna buy a gift for a liberal, get one of those high definition. What is those headsets
VR
we were
headsets.
talking about? Those headsets that kill you,
If you lose,
you lose in the game.
You
That'll
lose.
even up the score, or actually that'll put us way ahead of the game. So next time you need to go to vote for something, it'll be a sweep across the board. We'll be back to a conservative nation like that. That's how we solve the problem, right?
Casey, I don't know if you can follow that up, but
Yeah,
give it a
I
shot.
Little drum roll. So we've got the holidays coming up, and I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I know it's a difficult time for a lot of people, and also with all the extra stressors. So don't ever feel like you're alone. There's numbers, there's peoples, there's people in the community you can talk to. So I just wanted to say that. And then we'll catch up next time with some technology stuff and science and ways we're getting screwed over here.
Amen.
All right, that's good advice, Casey. It is the holidays, and the Patriot community is pretty close, gets pretty close, and a lot of us sit down and have dinner and stuff together. Nobody's an island. Make sure that you reach out to friends and family if you get depressed or if you're not around friends and family. There's always numbers to call. I think every one of us would be willing
And
to talk to you.
And there's people in the community that open their homes. I know last year at Christmas, I opened my home to whoever needed a place, wanted a hot meal. Nobody came, but it was there, and everybody knew they could come, and we'd have cookies.
Okay.
That's good. Cookies.
With that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up on that note. My name is Dustin Sherman. We got Casey Pate and Scott Seddon. We're going to see you guys next week. Tune in on Sundays at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 6 p.m. Wyoming time, and 9 p.m. or
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Pennsylvania time, Eastern time. So with that
Somewhere in there.
said, we're all on different
We're
time
around.
zones. So
Yeah.
All right.
we'll catch you all later. And thanks for tuning in. And We love you all. We'll catch you later.
Yeah.
Night,
Catch you
guys.
on the flip.